Hi everybody, Miss Sari back with you today. We are going to be talking about simplifying expressions. And yesterday we talked about evaluating expressions when we plugged in numbers. Today we're not going to do that. We are simply going to simplify these down. We're not going to get down to a single number for most of these. We're going to get down to an expression. Remember that an expression is going to be typically something that has a term with a variable and a constant. So remember, constants are numbers without variables, and then we have our variables with coefficients. So a lot of times when we do these, we just kind of remember we are basically combining like terms. So you may have, I used to denote this as CLT, combining like terms. So if anybody ever asked me what step was I doing, I would just say CLT, combining like terms. So we are going to go through here and we're going to add together anything that is a common term. So negative 9p plus 10p would be 1p. Now the 1 is optional, again, because the 1 is understood, as we like to say. And then we have negative 5 plus a negative 1, which would get me negative 6. So you could either write this as negative 6 plus 1p or 1p minus 6. Both of these would be the exact same answer. In problem number 2, we have to distribute. So if we distribute the negative 7 times both of these terms, negative 7 times negative 4 would get me a positive 28. And negative 7 times negative 2m would be a positive, because negative times negative, 14m. So again, either written like this or written as 14m plus 28. Now, moving down into problem number 3, now we are going to have a variable times a variable. Now, if it helps you to put the 1 in front of the n, you're welcome to do so. So you can multiply coefficient times coefficient. You don't have to. If you remember to do that, that's great. So 5 times 1 would be 5, but when I multiply n times n, I will get n squared. And when we take 5n times 8, well, 5 times 8 would get me 40, but because there's still an n on that 5, we're going to have 40n, and that would be my final answer. For number 4, we're going to keep the 10, and we're going to distribute. And actually, I need to go back here because I accidentally put that plus sign where it did not belong. And the reason we don't want to use that is because when we do a positive 4 times a negative 10k, we're going to get a negative 40k. So we want to make sure we switch that sign early. And then 4 times 9, we get a positive 36. Now, we're not quite done because we have like terms. We have a constant here and a constant here. So there's nothing to combine with the negative 40k, but I can combine the 10 and 36 to be 46. A few more problems and then we're all done for the day. So in problem number 5, let's switch colors here. That red's getting a little annoying. So if we go ahead and do the 2b, we're going to distribute the 2b, but we only distribute to what's in parentheses. So 2b times 2b would be 4b squared, b times b, remember. 2b times 7 would be 14b. And then we'd have to bring down this plus 4b squared. Now this is where people make mistakes because b squareds get added, those two are like terms, they get added together, but they do not get added to the 14b. B squared and b are two different variables. So 4b squared plus 4b squared, the only thing that we have to actually add is the leading coefficients. So we get 8b squared plus 14b. That would be our final answer. Now in number 6, you'll notice this negative sign out here. Now, some people feel more comfortable if this problem were written negative 1 times 3r minus 1 minus 9 times negative 9r plus 2. Whether you want to make that into a negative 1 so you can distribute it, or you're comfortable just doing what we call distributing the negative, it's the exact same answer. if I distribute this, all that's going to change about 3r minus 1 is it's going to change signs. It's going to turn into negative 3r plus 1. Now I can distribute the negative 9 to the other side. Well, negative 9 times negative 9r is a positive 81r, and negative 9 times positive 2 is negative 18. Now all we need to do is go in here and add up our like terms. Well, negative 3 plus 81 is going to give me 78r, and positive 1 minus 18 is going to give me a negative 17. And there's my final answer. So we've got two more, and I know everyone's already probably eyeing up this problem in the corner here, but we're going to go through this other one first. So let's distribute the negative 10 to our first two terms. So negative 10 times 9r would get me negative 90r. Negative 10 times negative 4 would get me a positive 40. Now we'll distribute the negative 2 to the second set of parentheses. Negative 2 times 10r would get me negative 20r. And negative 2 times negative 4 would get me a positive 8. Now we'll go through and we'll add like terms together. Negative 90r plus a negative 20r would get me a negative 110r. 40 plus 8 would get me 48, and we'd be all done. Now this last problem might make people feel uncomfortable because again, you've got all these different fractions going on here. What I'm going to suggest that you do first is group together things that are like terms. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as this: 5/4 x plus 1/2 x, and I'm going to treat that part of the problem by itself. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do negative 6/7 minus 15/4. I'm going to treat these as two separate problems because they really don't function with one another. Now, in order for me to add these two like terms together, I need common denominators. Well, the common denominator between 2 and 4 would be 4. So I can turn this 2 into a 4 by multiplying it by 2 and multiplying the same number on the top. So multiply 2 times 2 to get 4, 1 times 2 to get 2. Now I can add these together. Well, 5 plus 2 would get me 7. Leave the denominator, so 7/4 x. And then if I want to do my other fractions, 7 and 4, what's their least common multiple? Well, their least common multiple is 28, which would be 7 times 4. So I'm really going to multiply this first fraction. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. So instead of this being 6, 6 times 4 is 24. And the second fraction, I'm not going to multiply, I'm multiplying 4 times what to get 28? Well, I'm multiplying it by 7. So I need to multiply the top by 7. Well, if I do that, 15 times 7 turns into 105. Well, now I have a negative 24 minus 105. This turns basically into addition. So I get negative 129. Oops, and I got an extra negative in there. Sorry about that. So we already have the subtraction sign for our negative. So we have 129 over 28, and that would be our final answer. Now, are you going to see a ton of questions like number 8? Probably not. You may have 1 or 2 fractions to deal with, but remember, group together things that are like terms, group together things that are constants, find their common denominators, add and simplify. Just make sure that your fractions are always in lowest terms, and you should be good to go. Message me if you have any questions, and I will see you guys tomorrow.